so you try to talk yourself out of it, even though you feel like that person is amazing, great, all of this. You're like, but I don't like him. Like, I don't want to.
Definitely. I feel like, okay, so when we have types, right? Like I know what it is I like, and I know that what I
Pink
like.
walls.
Yeah.
But it can get you in trouble, right? You have people who you're like, this is going to be a problem. I know you're going to be a problem in my life. I already know it. And so it's like, if I want to continue that path forward, then I choose that. And so
what's up? It's Lip Service. I'm Angela Yee.
I'm Gigi McGuire.
I'm L'Oreal.
I'm Jasmine Brand.
And Latham Thomas is with us.
Hey. Yes, y'all.
I love the cover.
Yes.
The paperback is now available.
The pink theme. Thank y'all for.
And that's why I'm here today, because I know it matched her cover.
See, I love it. How y'all doing?
We always have Latham on the Breakfast Club, and we have more serious conversations. But here on Lip Service, we want to have more erotic conversations, because there's a lot of things I feel like we can learn about our own bodies and have some fun with it. And I know it's a quarantine time and everything, so I feel like there's a lot of things in this book that we can relate to this time also. Now, one thing I want to talk about, and we're going to start off with this, right, ladies, is arousal and understanding your arousal and what turns you on. So we're going to go around the room and talk about understanding our own arousal and the things that turn us on. And don't be shy.
Who's first?
You,
Latham.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So I think about arousal is something where, for me, it's not just like the moment of intimacy. It's like, for me, foreplay starts the freaking day before. Like, I want the house clean. I want it to smell good. I want candles. I want also for, with my partner, I want it to be like, I want it to feel like the beginning, like when we were first dating, you know what I mean? Like, the intimacy has to also feel fresh, because what keeps us with our partners and keeps us excited is when there's desire, right? And so desire cannot be fed by monotony, right? So trying to do something new, like creating a little date moment, even in quarantine, create a little date night. That's been nice for us. Like ordering out and then like putting a movie in a different room than where we sleep at and trying to create a moment there. But I think also, for those of us who are quarantined and we're by ourselves, like we have to find that intimacy and exploration within ourselves, and like what turns us on by ourselves, because by the time we get back outside again and we're able to connect with people, it'll be on and popping, and we'll also understand new aspects of ourselves and like what turns us on and like in what ways. And so this is a great time to like get your toy orders up, like check out different products that are on online. I recently found some new products that I actually like that I think are really great to bring into the bedroom. And
do share. Slow down.
I share? Okay, so this line called Dame. Have you guys heard of Dame?
I haven't.
Okay, so Dame, it's a product line by women. And it's intimacy products. They're like ergonomically designed. And they have all different types of toys. They're like amazing. So I like them.
What's your favorite?
So they have this one called Kip, K-I-P, and it's like a little lipstick vibrator. It's awesome. And it's like, it's like comes in a like little soft purple kind of color, like a pale purple, super cute, fits in like any bag. It comes with a USB charger. So if you can't plug in, you can plug into your computer. Like if you're on the go, ain't none of us on the go, but when you get on the go again, it'll be useful if you're traveling. I like that idea.
You're a real freak if you charging your vibrator from your computer.
Right.
You could be doing your morning show. You could be doing your morning show.
Right? And then I like this. There's a line that I love also called Foria. Do you guys know Foria Wellness?
I don't think we're doing good at knowing anything.
Foria. So they make a CBD. They have two products I like. One is a CBD product called Awaken. And it is basically like, it has cinnamon, it has kava, it has coconut, it smells good, it tastes like chocolate. And basically it's a lubricant, but it's also just an arousal oil essentially. And so you spray it on and it kind of warms you up and actually creates this feeling of pulsation. So even before you even get turned on, it's already working. And then it tastes freaking good and it's like natural. So it has CBD. So I love
what is
in his butt before
so when you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready is what you basically say.
Stay ready, exactly.
I feel like some people are scared of lube. Like when it comes to like talking about lube, I know I'm one person that like, I don't really deal with lube, but now if you say that makes it seem a little bit more appealing. Like the cinnamon, it still scares me a little bit though, because what about yeast infection?
So that's what scares me about lube too. I get scared about yeast infections and stuff like that.
Okay, so here's my thing about lube. I also am anti-lube because what I believe is if you're turned on, you make your own secretions, right? Like you don't need anything to get you wet. Like if you're aroused, you're going to make your own secretions, which is going to lubricate you. So you won't need that unless, you're doing other things where you don't make secretions, right? So, but vaginally, you'll have enough. And the only times that you don't is like right after having a baby and in perimenopause. But any other time, you shouldn't really need lube unless you're, and sometimes depending how your cycle flows. But for the most part, we should be able to make our own secretions. So you're right to instinctively not use that because you don't need
Except in your butt.
I was about to say, when I think lube, I think anal. Like,
yeah, that's the only time you would need it.
We were told to use silicone-based lube for anal.
Right.
Okay.
And so that's what I think when I think of lube. That's the only reason why.
Chocolate flavor booty girl.
That's kind of scary.
Ooh.
Yeah. What about you?
All right, so ladies, y'all didn't answer. What turns y'all on though? Like when we talk about arousal, what are some things that that arouse you already?
For me personally, it starts in the mind.
Yeah.
It's like mind then body. It's like you think about different things or what's going through your mind, or you're enjoying your partner in, a mental way, and then the physical starts. So.
I feel like I smoke, well, we know I smoke weed, but I feel like weed kind of already gives you like a little tingly feeling sometimes when you're high and you're just like, that doesn't happen to nobody but me. Okay.
No, if I smoke, same. Sis.
Right? Not all the time, but sometimes it'll just be like a little thing that sparks anyway.
And sometimes alcohol does the same thing.
Alcohol, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's terrible, but like.
Y'all be careful.
What do you mean?
Don't want to mistake arousal for inebriation.
No, I mean, I feel like even if you put like a little drink in you could like, it's called like unwinding.
Helpful.
Yeah.
It's helpful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice assist.
And it also might help you do things that like normally you'd be like, I just need a little drink in order for me to be able to.
Yeah. You wild out a little more.
Yeah.
I love junk sex. Like I'm like a big, not to the point where you're blacked out, obviously, but like something that like I responsibly knew, like, okay, let's get drunk and have sex. Like that's just like
I'm with my man or the guy I'm dating.
Right.
Or we already have an agreement, but while we're sober.
Right.
Yeah.
Already have an entanglement.
damn, Ange. Did something happen? Ange is like, let's just make it clear.
We already have an entanglement. So
encouraging nobody to get
Right. Blackout and have sex.
No, it's okay to get drunk together though. Like obviously like touch and certain things are gonna arouse you. Like me, my spot is my neck at some certain point. Mm-hmm. Not if you like drool all over it and shit, but like, a little sexy looking, whatever, like that is definitely an arousal spot for me. But like I know if we want to get it in for the night, to me I'll be like, all right, let's get a couple drinks in us and then you just go crazy.
Go crazy.
There's a big difference between sexy looking and like weird looking.
Yeah.
That's
like
disgusting. It can be uncomfortable.
Dripping sweat.
Yeah, too much saliva is not ever. I mean, except other places, but like neck and all that. Too much saliva is not okay.
Like I lie when I first start dating a guy and tell him that I don't like to kiss and that's not true. But I'm gonna tell you why it's a disclaimer. Because I feel like if he can't kiss, I don't want him to kiss me a lot. You know what I mean? So like I try to make it clear from the beginning, like I'm not big at kissing, but I am. It's just
somebody had a kiss.
Well, this is what I had a guy that couldn't kiss, and it was Like when I tell y'all, like he would be licking all over my face, and it was just like,
Remember that episode on Sex and the City when Charlotte was dating the bad kisser, and he used to like lick on her face?
Yeah. Yes, this was how this guy was, and I
instantly thought of.
I never thought something like that could happen because I'm like, okay, you're grown, you should know how to kiss. Like, no, this motherfucker, and it was like too much mouth open. Do you understand?
Or if somebody tries to kiss you in the morning before they brush their teeth and you can smell it.
Ma'am.
I know, L'Oreal, you said you do like kissing, but you lie and say that you don't. But I really kind of don't like kissing.
For real?
I'm just not, I don't know. I'm not really into it that much. I've never, with any guy I've been with, I like a little bit, but I don't like don't tongue me down. You're
not making out.
I don't want to make out. I don't mind a little like.
I like kissing, but I just don't like a bad kisser. Like,
no one enjoys that.
Somebody that's just like too much or just like not enough. Like it has to be, you have to be in sync with.
Just right. That goes to the chemistry thing.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And you think you could like be in love with somebody but not like kissing them?
I think you can go through stages like that. Like I feel like for me, I can think about the people who I remember were amazing kissers and I enjoy kissing them. But I do remember being with, at certain points and there's somebody who's like, okay. And I'm not like, that's not the thing I'm looking forward to with them. Right. So it's almost like if they're great at other things, you kind of like, yeah, let's not do that as much. Or you get into a routine where you don't kiss them as much. It's like, okay, cool. Like that was nice. Let's move on. And so you move to the next thing. But I feel like, yeah, because like if you think about it, right? Like when you get into moods, even with your partner where it's like you're not, vibing, sometimes like you go some days without like really kissing, it might just be a little bit. And you're like, you don't realize how much it's more like touch for me. That's really important. And so I could be like, we could cuddle and do all these things and maybe a kiss a little bit and intimacy is full on and we might have kissed a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think it just depends. But I mean, I can never just be like, never ever kiss you again kind of thing.
What if you had sex with somebody for the first time and they didn't kiss you at all? Would that be weird?
I would be offended.
Yeah,
I would think you're not into
me.
I need to tell you that. You don't tell me that with your actions. I would be offended. Like you don't have to slide me down, but I feel like sometimes kissing shows that you like them, and it's kind of intimate.
As long as
I would feel like,
no, I'm joking.
But he might have just been handed doggy style and didn't get to kiss you.
Kiss me first. At least give me a little peck, a little something, and then you can turn me around.
Doggy style is disrespectful too. Like if you don't start
off the first time.
You gotta start looking eye to eye, and then we could turn around and get the doggy and all that stuff. But if somebody just turns you around automatically, they think you're ugly as fuck or they don't like you.
But what about
that could just be their favorite position?
Angela, no, I'm joking because she made a face.
I'm just saying, but I might turn around on my own because that's how I want it.
I didn't, but that's different.
Let's start though. I'm saying let's start it off like that. I'm gonna suck your dick and I'm gonna get on my knees.
Oh, nice.
Turn your ugly ass around. That's how I would feel if I was a man.
So, Gigi, if he didn't kiss you and you did all that, you would be okay?
Well, I'm probably going to make him give me head first, and I'm going to kiss him because I want to taste myself. And then I'm going to give him head, and then I'm going to turn around. So that's probably how it's going to happen. So there's going to be a kiss.
Kissing will be involved.
He's going to kiss these lips and these lips, okay?
Yeah, it is quarantine time. So, Latham, I'm going to ask you, in your book, you talk about stop dating for distraction. Sometimes we just date somebody because it's a distraction from whatever else. Like maybe you're trying to forget someone else, like a rebound thing. Or maybe you just are lonely and want someone to talk to. But it is a really difficult time if you're single and
you're by yourself.
We've been quarantined since March. So can you expand on that a little bit? Like for people who aren't in a relationship or even dating anyone right now.
Yeah, that's tough.
What's your dating advice for that?
Yeah, it's amazing because, obviously I wrote this when we were not in quarantine. And so, but I think that dating yourself is important, right? Like falling in love with yourself, getting to know yourself, spending time with yourself. And I think what this time has offered us is an opportunity to like go inward, figure out like, what is it that I love about myself? What are the things that I'm working actively towards improving? But also, and this goes like, I think on a personal growth tip, but then also like on an intimacy vibe, like what are the things that I've settled for in relationships? What am I not, what's on my stop doing list, right? Like what's on like the next level when I do go out in the world, we can go back outside. What am I going to be looking for in a partner? And there's a lot of ways to still date and to do a lot of things where you can still kind of hold on to a sense of comfort, a sense of safety, as well as recreation, and not be in distraction, but actually be looking for somebody you might want to boo up with. And I think if you're also intentional about where you are in your life, right? So if you know you're not really ready for a relationship, and you just want to love Butler, then like be true to that, and then go on the platforms for that, right? Like don't be the ones like for Christian dating. If you know you just want somebody to come over and put it down, then go on that.
Christian will come over and put it down, Latham.
But I'm just saying, if you ain't trying to boo them up, then you know what I'm saying.
Christian thing to do.
They be closeted.
Yeah.
Be positive, but go to the platform for that, right? So I feel like you can be, and everybody's finding their way. And using this technology in a very unique way. People are doing their little Zoom dates. They're doing, they're finding all kinds of ways to use this technology to be intimate. So I think that the distraction piece is something I still would say is important, especially in a time of quarantine, because we still can make shitty decisions, like, you know, and feel bad about ourselves, about like people that we let in. And so as we're working on ourselves, I think it's important to figure out how you want to be intimate, how you want to engage with people, and step out different, you know, step out differently, especially when it's time to go back outside. Shit is different, right? Like everybody's going to be moving different, looking for different things. And we're heading into the fall, and it's about to be winter again. So you trying to figure out who could come over.
Who about to come up?
What do you feel about the people that are like, kind of like settling because they did get stuck with the person during quarantine, and they're like, fuck, I don't want to be alone. So I'm just going to.
That's real.
Yeah.
Now it's summer though. So you might have the courage to like, you know, get out of that, you know, because it's now a different season and we can go back outside a little bit. Some people are in stage 3 and stage 4 where they're at. So there is.
I'm back at phase 1 in LA. Okay.
Yeah.
Back in phase 1?
Atlanta, but not Georgia.
The mayor wants us to be back in stage 1, but the governor really makes the rules.
Yeah,
so the mayor
it's like
but the governor, y'all know.
Atlanta, they made it like mandatory for men.
But yeah, so Atlanta is like busting it open wide.
And Gigi is too. I'm not going there, Gigi.
Right.
No
Get it,
more.
G.
Gigi has been out the fuck side, y'all, and I'm not going nowhere near Gigi.
I be looking like, where is she?
Gigi went to Magic City like 6 times.
I want to be on here like I'm on I don't give a fuck island. What island is that?
I'm not fucking with Gigi.
How much it costs? I got to get tested.
I went to Magic to get some food.
Even worse.
Bad takeout. But you know what? Back to this distraction thing. Have y'all ever dated as a distraction? Because I do feel like sometimes it is something that has worked for me.
I've dated, I don't know if the correct word is distraction, but I've definitely dated because I was bored and I had nothing better to do and I was trying to kill time. So I guess I have. I've done that quite a lot.
That's distraction.
Okay.
So, but who are these guys? Are they like somebody you would date normally, or is it like somebody that's just like whatever?
Whoever's around.
Whoever's around that isn't awful, that makes sense. Who's not like, it could be a really good guy, but I'm really not into him. But I'm like, okay, I don't have anything better to do. He's harmless. Mm-hmm. I would like to.
He really likes me.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, so that whoever's around and checks the boxes.
I can't. That's not work for me. Like I'll be like, I don't like him. There's no way. Like I can't convince myself to like.
Learn to like someone or
no to entertain anyone either. Like if I don't really like them off bat, it's so hard for me to entertain like a person. Mm-hmm.
Even if they're just like funny or cool to be around.
I mean, they end up getting tired of me because all I do is just like give them the runaround, and it's like there's people that have done that for years. Like I'll be like, all right, I'll go to dinner with you, and then I won't show up for years, and they'll keep asking like, or
damn, like should be on 90 Day Fiance.
Why? It's the opposite of that. Because I'm not gonna meet up with you. I'm not gonna go.
Lana.
Are you calling me a scammer?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like it has, been beneficial for me at certain points in my life where I really needed that distraction.
To not be focused on the person you just got done with.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of people saying that about Jada and August. That
August was a distraction?
Yeah, like because her and Will were going through it and they had a breakup and,
Well,
is distraction and rebound the same thing then?
I mean, I think, because if you're basically dating somebody that keeps you away from doing your own personal work to move on, then it's a distraction, right? And so, like I don't need you as like this partner or like this person to show up in my life to keep me off course from doing the emotional work I need to do to be available to the right person. Mm-hmm. I'm just hanging out because you're here. And like you said, like, oh, thanks for like taking me to pick up my sister at the airport. Thanks for helping me.
Y'all like, some users. God gonna punish y'all.
Doing chores for me. You know what I'm saying? You're just here doing chores. You're making me feel good. But also if I'm not feeling good about myself, then I'm not ready to actually go out into the world to get who I really want to be with and show up and actually be able to be available when I see them or even keep them when they show up, right? Yeah. So the distraction is helpful. It feels good, but it does keep us from doing the work. And so, that person sometimes ends up being with us way too long. And we feel good and we feel guilty. So we stay and he's so nice.
They say y'all married with a family.
Yeah. What happened? That's God punishing y'all because y'all was being users. You was using.
Hold on, L'Oreal. He gets something out of it too.
What's he get out of it?
A broken heart and all that.
Broken heart.
But he's gonna be brokenhearted because you really don't like him. You just using him. It's just like somebody that's there. That's why I don't like to do that. I feel like I'm gonna get my karma. I've done it before, but I feel like
you might not do it on purpose. Like you might just be doing it like and not thinking like I'm using him as
Because I do think I think when people are done with relationships or they have had breakups, I don't think people take the time to be by themselves, right? Mm-hmm. I think people use other people and not even intentional. And when you think about it, I feel like nobody is really single because I feel like everyone is getting over somebody or if someone else comes in the picture, they'll dump the other person. I feel like everyone has somebody kind of lingering. Yep. So none of us really take the time to be single.
Always got somebody in the cut, right? Mm-hmm. There's always that. And I think, again, it is a stress.
It's that dick in a glass case. Break the glass.
Break it.
All right. I also want to talk about some other things in the book. When you find yourself making a connection, you have to acknowledge that, right? Because sometimes we try to talk ourselves out of things. Have you ever really liked somebody but just felt like it wasn't a good idea? So you try to talk yourself out of it? Even though you feel like that person is amazing, great, all of this, you're like, but I don't like him. Like, I don't want to...
Definitely. I feel like, okay, so when we have types, right? Like I know what it is I like, and I know that what I
Pink
like.
walls.
Yeah.
But it can get you in trouble, right? You have people who you're like this is going to be a problem. I know you're going to be a problem in my life. I already know it. And so it's like, if I want to continue that path forward, then I choose that. And so what I started to do in relationships was like, okay, I'm going to choose the opposite of what I would actually choose. And because I already know the patterns that I have around intimacy, around abandonment, around, like my own little personal things that I know are going to like click through, be like, oh, check. You're going to hurt me in 3 weeks. Great. Like all these things I was seeing, I was able to see in a partner, and I would pick that and they would actually do those things. And it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why am I wearing myself out like this? So I started to, when I would go out with people, I was like, okay, I'm going to use certain measures for what I would consider safety for me, what makes me feel good in a relationship, and start to reconfigure how I'm going about this. So one of the things that I would do, like right away, that I would like cut somebody off is like, if you say you're going to call at 6 o'clock, 6:01, if my phone didn't ring, I'm just going to, because it means for real, you're just not going to be reliable. And I would say that to people, and I'm like, if he doesn't do that, then he really isn't reliable, and he's going to show me that continuously. And I'm going to get used to it, and I'm going to get whittled down, and I'm going to have really poor poor standards for myself.
Because I'll be like, my grandmother died this morning. Sorry, I'm late.
Right. So even if you liked him a lot, you would just be like, fuck it, 601, it's over.
Like, it would be like, you know, little, but it would be not just like that, but that's an example, right? But it's like little things that give me a sense, like I might still be your friend, but I'm not like, we're not going this way because I see little things like, all right, he didn't do what he said he was going to do. Okay,
red flags.
When I first had it, that the guy that I ended up staying with, when he, like, it was like he called when he said he did everything he said, and he was actually unbinding these patterns that I had around relationships, and it was going the total opposite direction. And it was like, wait, this is actually how I'm supposed to feel, right? Which I think was healing. And so for me, I had to try to like stay away from like what I was usually patterned to go around, which was more dramatic and more
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was exciting and all this, but it was also dramatic. It was also me on the phone with my girlfriends and like having these tribunals about like, what does it mean that he says this? And you know, it's like, you should not have to feel like you trying to figure out how to, if they're into you, it's very clear.
You're going to know it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. Sometimes we get so used to the dysfunction. We think that's what a relationship is supposed to be.
And it gives you a rush a lot of times too.
And that's a word.
That's true too. Both things are true because sometimes it's a chase. Like it's the thrill of the challenge. So you like the challenge, and then sometimes it's just what you're used to, toxic behavior, and you're just like, well, this is normal, and it's not.
Yeah, and we're not actually meant to chase, right? Like, and this is not be like about femininity so much as it is, but it's also about dominant energy, right? And our energy is actually what keeps the universe together. So we can't be out here chasing behind stuff. If you look at flowers, right? They attract the pollinators, like they attract the energy that they need to actually continue to propagate. They don't chase behind bees.
So we're the flowers. We're the flowers.
We're the flowers. So we just lay in the cut.
I know, I'm a flower.
That's right. Lay in the cut, and you create a vacuum for the energy to come to you, for the people whoever, they will orbit up in your life. But this idea that we're going to be out here chasing behind, I ain't chasing behind nobody. And that goes for everything. That goes for a career, that goes like everything. Because when you're in your power, you don't have to chase nothing because you know it's already on its way. And you've created the vacuum for it to arrive. And if you think about even the vagina, the vulva is like the gatekeeper, the door, and the vagina is a vacuum. It draws energy in. So we have this physical function, but we also have like externally around us energetically this energy that we're already living into. And so when we do this stuff that's not aligned with who we are, it's really confusing, but it's also destructive because then we're trying to figure out, well, why is it this person doesn't want me? Why are they not calling me back? It's like, because you are not allowing them to do what they should be doing, which is showing up for you. Like if the flowers are out chasing the bees, like the bees are confused by that, right? Like first of all, it doesn't happen, right? In nature. Right. But so we're like doing things that are outside of a natural order in terms of intimacy, right? Like we don't need to be chasing behind nobody. We need to mind our business, do what we do to cultivate ourselves, our sweetness, and bring it and let it show up, let it come. Because that's
Gigi, I see you out of your head, Gigi. What you got to say?
I'm agreeing. That's the truth.
Let it show up.
I feel like let it grow. Don't be out here chasing and trying to figure.
Don't be out chasing.
I feel like your book and like the things that you're saying would be really helpful, like much sooner as opposed to the age that we all are now. I feel like we may not even listen if we were younger, if we heard this kind of advice, but I think it helps put things in perspective. But you know, if I knew some of this kind of stuff and I had access to it and I had conversations maybe with my mom or my aunts or something, like I may, you know, it's not going to register until you get older sometimes, but it could be a helpful tool. You know,
we got to make our mistakes sometimes.
Sometimes you just got to learn them on your own.
Yeah, we do have to make those mistakes because I made them. I think it helps you to also know like what you do want when you experience what you don't, right? And so I think you do need both. And it also helps you to gain your own wisdom, right? Because if you never went through hardship or, you know, if every relationship was amazing, that would be great too. But I think like how we get character building is through the challenges and through the bumpy
life lessons.
Yeah, so it's good that you, wherever you are on the journey, wherever you get the information that you need is perfect, right? Because who you are now at this incarnation in this moment is exactly where you need to be, and what you know and what you can share with others in this moment. And because I think about the fact that like we didn't have freaking social media. Like my son doesn't realize we didn't have these tools. We were downloading stuff. It was writing shit by hand. It was photocopying.
We had dial-up.
Yeah, right.
AOL.
So we have a blessing of having technology and access and information that we can also help the next generation with our leadership, and the fact that we're cool. Younger people might listen to us like we might not have listened to, you know, our aunts and our moms back then.
What do you think about monogamy and relationships? Because a lot of people always bring that up, basically saying like monogamy is not natural for men and things like that. What do you think about statements like that?
Well, it's not natural for women either. So I think
they ain't gonna tell you that though.
They don't say that part.
Right. It's actually more true that we are designed to actually seek variety in sexual partners. And it's been framed that men need that, but it's actually, there's science that shows that we have the biological need. There's a great book called Untrue by Dr. Wednesday Martin, and she goes through this journey of looking in the animal kingdom, and she's amazing. You would love her. But she talks about like how, like there's been all of this information that's untrue about what we think about female sexuality, and that it's also couched through this male lens, right? It's couched through male pleasure. If you think about like how we even talk about our body parts, so we'll talk about the vagina, which is a Latin word which means sheath, like a sheath to a sword, like a container for a sword, right? Like that's not empowering, right? So the container to hold a sword is what we're calling like our innermost sanctum, or calling like life creation matrix, right? We're calling that a sheath. And it's also the center of male pleasure, because we don't have a lot of nerve endings, thankfully, because if you were having a baby, that shit would hurt, right? So we don't have a lot of nerve endings in our vagina, but we have a ton of them in the clitoris, which is an incredible erectile body, which pound for pound, we have the same amount of erectile tissue that men have, but ours is internal. So we have this incredible system for arousal, for pleasure, for orgasm, for intimacy. And so for us, we just have to figure out how to turn that on. But the focus is on the vagina, which is for male pleasure, right? Never do people talk about the vulva. And people will talk about the clitoris as just like one spot, right? Like one aspect of our pleasure, and not understand that that the clitoris is actually shaped like a wishbone, right? There's a clitoral crown, the legs, and around those are vestibular bulbs, which create secretion so that you can get wet during intimacy. Then we have skin glands, which are periurethral glands, which also help to create female ejaculate. We have also the perineal sponge and the urethral sponge, which help to create the sensation of cushion, so that when there's penetration, you wrap those muscles around whatever is penetrating inside of you, and it creates a sense of comfort. That's how, if you know you're aroused, shit feels good. Period.
Yeah, right.
It feels good, you're wet, and you can do it on your own. You don't need nobody to come in and do all this and spread. No. Because if I'm
painting,
it not look pleasurable.
Shit, you don't need that when you are aroused, right? And if it's happening right, then it feels good. And if it's not happening right, you stop it, because we have to stop training people to think that we're gonna lay there and be a sheath for their sword while they are intimate, right? So we're not gonna allow that no more. So if you are laying there thinking about your taxes and you're not engaged in the act of intimacy, you're not engaged in the sex or whatever's going on, then see your way out. And if this partner is not, good for you, then also figure out like how to get out of that. But that's why this idea of monogamy is so interesting with how we think about the female species of like mammals, right? Because for us, we had to, ancestrally, but also when you think about like greater apes, right? What they had to do to survive, they actually had to be intimate with multiple of the male apes, because they had to not make it clear whose baby it belonged to.
Oh shit, more
okay, Maury Povich, yeah.
For protection. Because if a male came in and decided they were going to take over the tribe, right? If a male came in, he would want to kill off all the babies that didn't belong to him, so that then the mothers would have to go back into estrus, and then they would be fertile again, and then he would basically sire the next generation of babies. But if he didn't know if they were his, those babies would survive. So it was a survival mechanism to be, to spread, around and be with other people, or not other people, but other apes, other male apes, essentially other dominant male apes, so that you could be protected. They would look out for you, right? We had to do.
Let me make sure I write this argument down.
Yeah, that means go out there and give everybody a pussy if you want to. It's okay.
You know what? Last thing I wanted to ask you is about orgasms, right?
Yes.
And so, we talk about orgasms, and there's women who can't have one, not that they can't, but they've never had one. Mm-hmm. And then there's times that I know there's one way that I can orgasm. So I like to make sure I do that every single time. And then I feel bad because I don't want to not have variety of different things, but I just know this is what I need to have what works. Yeah, this is what works for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I want to talk about orgasms, and for women out there who haven't had the pleasure of having orgasm, what would you have to say to them?
First of all, I just want to just a moment of silence for those who haven't, because it's this life is sustained through pleasure. This is, it is in every living, breathing thing. There is, it's everything is mating, right? Mm-hmm. Everything is in relationship in this universe, and so everything is about sex. Everything is about this dynamic, right? And so when I hear that people haven't experienced the pinnacle of what's possible through our bodies and spiritually, it's sad, because it's basically not ever connecting with God. Can you imagine? Because orgasm is when you actually connect with God. It's you hold hands with God through pleasure. It's
it feels like it. Yeah.
Right? Because what do you say when you're coming?
Oh my God!
It's so the same thing, right? So it's so deep for us, and it's actually our birthright to feel pleasure. And so I feel really usually what it is because we're taught to not connect with our bodies, right? Everything turns us away from our bodies. The only things we talk about is how to please men, right? That's what we learn is learn how to do this. He likes it like that. How to do this. 10 ways to do this. 10 ways to suck it. There's all these things. But there's never anything about, nobody's teaching them, by the way, of how to navigate our bodies, right?
They need the most help.
Yeah. Thank you, right? And nobody tells them how intricate our system is. Nobody tells them. And so since there's not this work happening, people are waiting for their partner to show up with this information that they do not have. And then, so you're waiting and hoping that they can do things that they cannot do. And so the best thing that we can do is learn to play our own instrument. If you think about a band, right? If I showed up to a band and I showed up with a guitar that I have not practiced, right? And I start to play, it's not going to sound like music, right? Mm-hmm. But if I have this guitar and I've been practicing and learning and getting used to this instrument of mine, and then I show up and we're playing together, it's going to sound beautiful. It's going to sound like a duet. It's going to sound amazing. We're going to figure out how to improvise together because you know your instrument, I know mine. So when I show up to a moment of intimacy, it's if I haven't been able to achieve that, part of that's my responsibility to take, right? I can't blame a partner. I can't blame society. At a certain point, I have to actually look at my hand, okay, use my hand, feel inside of my body, come to know the intricate landscape of my intricate internal landscape. I need to come to know that. And I have to do that so that when I am in relationship with someone else, I know what pleases me. And some people have trauma, right? So we can be honest about some of the things that keep people from intimacy, past sexual transgressions, especially people who had childhood sexual abuse, sexual trauma, rape, things like that can make it really hard for people to be intimate and actually allow themselves to relax enough for orgasm. Because what we do know is orgasm is also connected to deep relaxation, and it's only possible if we feel safe, right? So if I don't feel safe, I can't really get aroused. I can't really be intimate with you in a way where I completely surrender, right? Safety is critical. So if you have had transgressions sexually, then it's not as easy for you to feel safe to then ascend into this sensations of, you know, of what happens, you know, chemically for an orgasm. So that is one thing that I would say, you know, to connect with someone around that healing is really powerful. And that can be, you know, like a spiritual advisor. It could be like a pelvic floor specialist. It could be a therapist, but find a licensed person or someone who is doing this intimacy type of work. An intimacy coach could be great. A sex therapist could be great. Like all these people can be helpful in you asking these questions of yourself and coming to the truth of what it is. But the other part is unshaming. You know, like many of us grew up in like religious traditions where you were like, no, you do like, it's like people pretend sex doesn't happen. And so you over here learning stuff on the go, Googling or seeing stuff just by chance and then watching porn or whatever it is, which is like so not real. And then trying to figure it out as you go. We don't have this tradition of teaching people and like intergenerational. That's why this podcast and like this space is so important, because for people to hear and talk about sex in a way that is like not judgmental, that is not threatening, that is joyous, and that also is about like your power, you know, like having your power in the process is so important. Like young people need to hear this so that they can feel agency in their bodies and know what's possible. Because by the way, there's not a lot of places where these types of discussions are happening, where people feel safe to listen.
Right. It's not dirty. It's not a taboo.
Right. I will agree. I do wish that there was a show that was like this when I was younger, because I do feel like I had older sisters. I still do. So, but I got older sisters, but I feel like they had to talk and they had all that stuff. But when it came to me, it was like, well, you should just know because your sisters know. But that's not really the case.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm still learning.
We will teach you 10 ways to suck a dick, but we also teach you 10 ways to eat a pussy. You know what I mean?
Right. And
so,
10 ways to clean your pussy.
The guys learn a lot from this show too.
Right.
Which is important. All of that is important.
Right.
I think like, yeah, but for us to understand the power of it and what it offers us in terms of health benefits, it is stress reduction.
Yeah.
It is a pathway to fertility. Healthy orgasm is basically a training ground for fertility. It is also very important for establishing intimacy and connection, because so many hormones are secreted, including oxytocin, which is a hormone for pleasure, but it's also bonding. It facilitates bonding and connection.
Well, we appreciate you so much, Latham, and we got to keep on making sure that we check in with you. You know how much I love talking to you, and make sure y'all get Own Your Glow. It was out, hardcover was here, but now the paperback is available too.
Yes.
So make sure y'all pick that up. And it's been really helpful for me. And I think especially, I know this was written way before COVID-19, but I think this will be helpful for a lot of people during this time also. And I'm going to call you offline because I need some help with something. So.
Yeah, and I think it teaches a lot of men how to get pink walls.
Yes. Pink walls.
These pink walls, honey.
And Latham, tell them where they can find you online.
Yeah, so I'm just on Instagram, Glowmaven, GLOWMAVEN, at Mama Glow, and then mamaglow.com.
Yeah, she's also a doula. I know we didn't even talk about that, but I always feel like we always have you on the Breakfast Club, but she is a doula as well. And I know that's super important work. She's worked with a lot of, helped to bring a lot of babies into this world. So
yes,
we appreciate you.
I appreciate
scary. I'm scared.
So this gave me my girlfriend dose that I needed, because you know, we can't hang out with our friends. This is amazing. Thank you all so much for having me.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.